Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're unveiling a new product, and it is a set of E-Series DCT aluminium machine paddles. We have made these already for the F-Series and they've done extremely well, and this is part of the growing range of accessories that we've got coming out for the rest of this year. So let's take a quick look at them. We've got two colors. One is titanium, which are these ones. And you can see we've tried to keep a very kind of OEM plus look to them. Where the F-Series ones were very suited to the F-Series interior, these ones are more suited to the classic nature of the E-Series interior, but we have kept the rear profile the same as the F1s because they just felt really good to use. That's the other side, so plus minus, and this one has a very subtle Evolve logo engraved into the bottom. They're just as good quality as the F-Series ones, very nice function on them as well. And these are the other color, which are black anodized. Again, exactly the same as the titanium one, just finished in a different color. And the Evolve logo on that side. What we have done with these is the plus and the minus and that stripe going down there, as well as the Evolve logo. We've machined them in such a way that if someone wanted to, you can actually put custom colors in there. That's not something we're going to offer ourselves because for us it's quite fiddly to do, but I'm sure a paint shop would be able to do that pretty well. We probably will do that to our own paddles actually, just to give them a little bit of individuality. But let's take these over to Aston and he's going to show you how to fit them in the car.
So the first thing to do when changing the paddles is to disconnect the battery in the boot. Then we can remove the airbag. So I'm going to be using a tool that I've got, which is an old screwdriver. I chopped the end off, but you can get the correct airbag tool to use, or you can use like a long Allen key, whichever will fit into the hole. So the steering wheel's got a hole on either side, and you need to place your tool inside the hole, and you're going to push in, which will release the airbag. Once the airbag's out, I'm going to show you what's going on inside, so it's a bit easier for you to understand. So that's the right hand side done. I move on to the left side. There you go. It can be a little bit tricky, so just take your time. On the back of the airbag, we've got two plugs, which you need to release. I'm going to grab a little flathead screwdriver and do that. It's quite handy to have a set like this when you're doing this job, because you will use different size T-pieces and flathead screwdrivers, so it just saves having loads of tools laying around. So I'm going to stick my little flathead end and pop those clips off. And that's two. And then place the airbag out of the way. Now the bits that I was pushing on, if you can see inside here, you see these two metal clips, one's there and one's there. When you put the screwdriver in the side, it comes in here, in this channel, and it pushes the spring clip here. You can see it moving in. So once that pops in, that will release the airbag either side. And then you just do the other side the same way, which I'll show you anyway, just so you've got an idea. And you push it to release the airbag. Now moving on to removing the paddles themselves. Drop a bit. You need a T20. And unscrew the two silver screws, one here and one here. Alright, once the two screws are removed, you can pull the wire in for the paddle, unplug it on the side here, it just pops out, and the same the other side, just here, and it pops out. Once those are free, you can remove the paddle from the back of the steering wheel, and then the physical change of the paddle itself is done in your hands. So I'm going to take these over to the bench and lay them out so you've got a bit of a clearer view on how to change the paddle. So the first thing you need to do is to remove the plastic casing on the back here, we've got 3 tabs, one at the top, one on the side and one on the bottom. So if you just use a little screwdriver just to pop those off, that one's already done. Pop that one off on the side. And pop this one off on the bottom. Pop, pop, pop. Then you've got another cap on the top which has got 3 tabs on it. One here, and one here. Again, just use your little screwdriver. Once that's removed, you can gain access to this gold pin here. So for the pin, you have to push from the bottom. Again, you can use your little screwdriver. Push it through and then pull it out the top. That will allow you to remove the paddle. Now when you pull the paddle from its casing, it's got a little ball bearing on the inside. Sometimes it sticks, yeah, this one's stuck to the paddle. Sometimes it sticks to the paddle and sometimes it stays inside the casing there. So just be very careful you don't lose this ball bearing, because that allows the movement of the paddle to roll backwards and forwards inside its casing. So just take that off to make sure we don't lose it. And then you can take the paddle itself off. So for that, I'm going to need a T10, I believe it is. Get your T10 and just undo it like a normal screw. Place the screw aside, and then you just wiggle the paddle away from its plastic frame. Now fitting the Evolve ones, they come with their own screw, which is a different thread, so please do not use that screw in here because it will chew the thread up. Push the paddle onto the plastic arm. And tighten the screw up on the inside, which is an Allen key. I believe it's a 2mm. Nip that tight. So with that screw nipped up, we can rebuild the paddle. So the plastic arm will go back into its casing. If your ball bearing has come out, then just place it back on the screw, on the spring, sorry. If it hasn't, then you'll see, it's kind of hard to see here, but just inside there is like a little recess down the end, and that's where the ball bearing sits. Place the arm back in. Also be careful of these tabs, the 2 golden tabs, those what make your connection to the circuit board. Push that back in. Line the hole up. And push your pin back through from the top, making sure it comes out the bottom. Now you'll be able to tell at this point if the ball bearing is seating right, so you can grab hold of the casing and just pivot the paddle as if it's the motion that you're going to be using the paddle, and if it clicks like that, then you know that the ball bearing is seated in its correct position. With the paddle back in, we can build the case back up. So put the top cover back on first. It clicks in place. And then place the cover on the back. And that's the change complete. So I'm back in the car with the Evolve paddles assembled, and now I'm going to refit them to the steering wheel. I'll start with the positive, if I don't drop it. Start with the positive. Just feed the wire through the gap on the steering wheel. Make sure the paddle is seated completely flush. You'll know because if it isn't sitting in the hole correctly, it will wobble like from the back of the plate. So just hold on to the back of it firm and then tighten up the screw in the middle. Again, they don't have to be too tight, so just nip them up. That's fixed. Plug the wire back in. and then reseat it in the foam casing inside the steering wheel. Okay, and onto the negative, or the downshift, whatever you want to call it. Again, making sure it's seated flush. Get your screw. This isn't sped up, I'm just really fast. Plug it in and run the wire into the foam casing again, just to secure it. Right, now before you put the airbag in, it's probably a good idea just to double check that the paddles work. Obviously you can't check if they're changing gear because the battery's disconnected, but you can get a feel of the paddle. I feel okay, so we'll reconnect the airbag, sorry. Pushing the tab down. Make sure they're both secure. Line the airbag up and just apply some pressure to reseat it. Check it's fitted correctly. Okay, so the paddles are fitted, the airbag's back in, and I can reconnect the battery now.
So Aston showed you how to fit the paddles. Let's have a look more closely at what they look like inside the cabin. So they have been finished in an anodized, what we call titanium, and that very closely matches the rings around the speedo. And functionality wise, they just provide a more reassuring click feel, and they're also larger, so it provides more access when you're steering the car. They're also available in black if you don't like this finish, and they have very subtle evolved branding on the bottom. So I'm really happy with the way these have turned out. Both colors look great, just depends on which one you like, and they do provide a nice lift to the cabin of this car, and the design does fit. So initially we were using the F series paddles in here, and I don't think they quite suited the interior of the car. These are more suited to the era of the car itself. So these are available now. We'll drop a link in the comments and you can take a look and order from there. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you liked the video, please remember to smash that like button, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. If you want to join the conversation, please drop a comment below and we'll try our best to respond to you. If you want to watch more of this project, you can do so over here. If you want to watch what YouTube thinks you might like from our other content, you can do so over here.